And perhaps, Matt, you want to talk about your feelings about how it made you feel when that came up?
Well, I've got this gun in my hand here. Let me watch. No, it's just what I actually, I will tell you, because I spell Matt M-A-T, not M-A-double-T. Matthew was M-A-double-T. I've had credits go in all the way to graphics, and they said, "Oh, must be wrong. Put the other T on." So the time it gets on screen, it's wrong here. But there we are. I've got more important things to worry
I guess
about.
if we add another T to your name, Chris, you'd be Christ.
I'm Chris Thompson. I'm already Chris T. Christ.
I mean, obviously, a lot of work is a real labour of love goes into to the work you both do, actually, because you both. I mean, obviously, Matt, you were there right back in the day. I wonder if you can just talk a little bit about your work on the show and your memories of working on the show.
Well, it's quite interesting at the end of this one you've just seen, in that it said visual effects. Ian Scoons, the lady, and the wonderful guy, and Matt Irvin. And I will admit, I can't remember what I did on that programme. I may not. I think once I was on it, they actually just ran the same credits. That was one of the earlier ones. I don't really think, actually, I did much on it. Didn't do the road, that was Ian. A lot of the other bits and pieces, but you know, that's just
generally, in terms of the show itself during that first season, what was your role?
Well, as probably most people know, I mean, I'll just ask the audience; they know far more about it than I do. You know, sort of. I bluffed them away. Sorry, I'm going to mention Doctor Who now. With Doctor Who talks, I put something on the screen there normally if I've got a PowerPoint running, and I've forgotten what it is. I just ask the audience, and they know. You know, so I mean, in this particular case, you're going to know better than me. When Blake started, as yes, BBC's answer to Star Trek, I think it was their actually Moonbase 3. Who remembers Moonbase 3? Yeah. Whoa! Look, hands got there right. That was the BBC answer to Star Trek. How many episodes of Star Trek are there? Moonbase 3 started with 13, we cut to 10, and we made 6. As our American cousins say, do the math. Right. So when Blake then, to redo it, or actually just a slightly different sort of program, Ian started it, and he realised fairly early on it was going to be a very heavy show. Now, these days, anything with science fiction on it, SF, personally I dislike the sci-fi term, but it's used, is going to be pretty effects heavy. Unfortunately, the BBC doesn't like paying for things, so consequently it tries to knock it sort of back, you know. I think the only time Doctor Who went abroad to Paris, whatever that one was, whatever that, so you all know what that one is.
City of Death.
That one, City of Death, right. They took everybody except effects. I didn't do that, that was Ian, but so they try and cut it down as much as they can. But with the Blake, they realise, yes, this is going to need more than one person on it. And I'm the one that got put onto it. Again, I didn't really know anything about it at the time. One knew it was science fiction, but that was it. And the trouble is, a lot of the stuff had already been designed. It was already there, which Ian had done. And it was only later on in season 1. And ironically, you haven't shown the Aurek episode before I'm here.
But you can tell us about what we're going to see that was yours.
Yeah, I mean, Aurek, yes, I did design Aurek. I use the term loosely. I will quote the Termination script. It said, "Looked like a television set without the case." Remember, we are going CRT, folks, in this flat screen business. You know, you can never get one in the dock. I mean, you know, it's a big monitor stuck in the other side of it. Nowadays, it's a doddle. But then, no, it's going to be like a CRT set. You know, take the wooden case off. That's what's left. Well, that's what I had to work on, and so that's what Aurek, bless his cotton socks, ended up as. And he still has. We haven't. He still exists.
There's legendary stories of how a lot of this stuff was put together after you got the design. That you stole things from places, bolted together, bolted together things that already existed, and made some stuff. Was it really like that? Was it just like a pink string?
Yes, it was. I mean, I will quote my colleague, fortunately still with us, Tony Harding, who of course designed. Thank you. Right, not me at all. I did the later version of him, but Tony did the shape you know. He designed it basically by scribbling on the back of a napkin. It's Ian did most of his design. Or on the table at the top of the rehearsal block in Acton, the rehearsal rooms, the top of the restaurant, the table would be covered with felt tip pen of designs. So they never existed because somebody would come along and just clean them up afterwards. If you were lucky, there was a napkin and all design on that. I think that's much the way Tony did with the dog. It was only afterwards people said, oh, they must have plans. I think they're thinking of ILM and people who've got money. You know, there must be loads of these designs, Bruce Macquarie designs and things. No, it was made up as you went along. It was only later Tony said, I had to design it because everybody assumed that, I had to draw it out because everybody assumed there was a plan. There wasn't at all. And frankly, most of the effects we did all the way through in the effects department were much like that. Ian was very good. Ian was an artist in the true sense of the word. He would storyboard everything meticulously in colour. I mean, oh, you're lucky to get a black and white thumbnail sketch from me, and frankly, most of us. Ian, no, do everything in colour and whatever. And some of them do still exist, particularly Visible Enemy storyboards do still exist. I think Mike has got a couple of them, or whatever. They do still exist, thank God. But most of the time, no, we just basically, we want so and so. There frankly wasn't time. It was when do you want it yesterday, you know. So I did do, it was news actually, it was the Spaghetti House Siege, I think, and I originally worked for news, so I knew what they were in Television Centre, possibly the only one. And they wanted it on the 6 o'clock news. We started at 9 o'clock and we had it on the 6 o'clock news. So there was no plans, just go ahead and do it. And all right, we had one more day on Blake. Or two if we were really lucky, so we could do a little bit more design. But no, frankly, these lovely designs that you all see, they've all been done afterwards and things. They've all been done basically, you've got to get it now, we've got to get it on the screen.
So talking about afterwards and later on, so Chris, you had this opportunity to look at what had happened on back in 1978 and bring a bit of 2024 to it. And I wonder if you can tell us, first of all, were you directly commissioned to do certain bits, or did you end up having kind of carte blanche? How did that kind of work?
Well, it sort of evolved 5 Doctors last year, where Russell reached out and was like, have you ever heard of Blake 7 before? And I had, I grew up with it on UK Gold. And they were a little bit loose early on into what exactly we were going to do with it. And then eventually I kind of just went through the episodes, picked our battles with the effects. I think in the end it's about 459 shots around, which is also, we're in addition to season 25, which was 320, so about 800 shots in 5 months.
That's quite a lot, isn't it?
And but I'm a huge fan of the original effects, and I think particularly the Blake 7 production diary is out at the minute. Beautiful book if you haven't got it yet. I think the Cult Edge is in the audience with us today. Nice to meet you, sir. And it really does a great job of telling the story of how these guys had almost nothing to work with and produced something incredible.
And were you talking to Matt as part of this process?
Matt was there with us on our London shoot. So the Churchill that you run Small Space in.
Yeah, I mean, going on to the truth, all the stuff that you saw on the screen there is him. It's not me. It's one shot which is me. He said he couldn't reproduce it, so he used the original bang.
We couldn't do explosions for Spicy Troubles reasons.
Yeah. So that was the original one I did 40 years ago. And it looks absolutely wonderful. If only we had the facilities to do it then, but because we didn't. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we ought to CGI. There was most people will know this story, but me and Ian had a meeting with David Maloney. Lovely guy. And he said, I've just been to see this movie.
That might be.
Have a guess which one.
A humanoid, Battle Beyond the Stars, Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Well, any of them. They all got far more money, but they began with their surname W, and he said, I want the effects just like that. And I look at it, and it was like me, and we just say, well, give us the money, we can do it. Yes, we could do it, because we got the techniques, which we never had the money. So we really had to compromise in what we did. We couldn't do the exotic shots and things. It's in later, and I will mention season 2, which, okay, if we ever do get round to it, which I did do completely all the way through, I introduced front axial projection. It's the way Superman flies, it's the easiest way to explain it. Now totally outgunned by what he does. But at the time, it means you could put a picture in the background, the foreground, and that's the only way I could get through the shots in season 2. Liberator arrives at planet A, Liberator leaves planet B. I just changed the background, so Liberator moves exactly the same. But that's season 2, or B if you want to call it. It's 2 actually. For one, no, we didn't have to talk, this wasn't time. Ian did virtually all the miniature effects. I did the very end ones, so I did do the bangs. And all right, so I've got Auric on one hand and bangs on the other side. That's my contribution to season 1.
And in terms of the challenges that you had, Chris, in obviously I know that you're on a limited budget as well, but you've got obviously some great kit and tools available to you. But what were the biggest challenges you found?
Well, when you say kit and tools, the Federation Space Command's on a Lazy Susan in my friend's barn, and there's actually a cat out of shot trying to knock it off. So it's quite funny because on some levels we do have technology, and there is a bit of a time constraint, and we're trying to replicate. Like, we're using everything made in like the late 70s, early 80s as a reference. Kind of like, what if the production team had more money rather than what if ILM had done it? But there's still a lot, like if the Liberator model we had is turning, Phil Stevens' Liberator model, it's just Mike Tucker, hello, nice to meet you. It's just Mike Tucker underneath it in a black hoodie going. But yeah, no, it was a bit of a mix. Like, so we had, it's a bit of a mix between CG and models. So we had 3 Liberators. One of them is CG, which is used for like flybys and some pickup shots. We had Phil's model, which was lovely, and we had like a little small one that I used for the in the orbit shots, and then everything else was mostly models, which is quite nice to finally work on something like that.
Sorry, I just realised I never answered, it's typical for me, I never answered the original question.
You answered any of the questions, which was...
I haven't answered any question, no. I must be a lawyer, actually. Watching too much Law and Order, I think. Yes, what actually happened when it was decided that it was that Paul, who you saw earlier, he's there. He said, we want to do the reshoot. What models have we still got? Well, we've still got the London, rebuilt by Simon Atkinson. It's the original. It didn't get destroyed in the programme. It just got dropped by me, out of shot, unfortunately. And so Simon, who built the original space models way back when, got it rebuilt at his college in Glasgow as a project. So we've got the original back. Pursuit ship, there were 3. There were 4 actually, because one became the Servalan, the white ship Servalan, the later one. We had 3, and one still exists, and that's the one you see there. What we call a bullet craft is actually a bigger version of Callie's ship when she first arrives in, is it episode 4? Have I got that correct?
The projectile ship.
Yeah, well, whatever. I call it the bullet because it's sort of bullet shape. It's white, with red stripes on it, TR7 sort of colours. We've still got that. The space station, we had to use Phil's again because that doesn't exist. The real Liberator, and it is the original, let's not get into this. A mutter runs around the audience. Does still exist. It's in the state it was at the end of season 3. I put it back together, but it still looks terrible. It is what it is, and it's in the National Film and Sci-Fi Museum in Milton Keynes, and it's there for you to go and see, where most of the models do actually go back. They are there. We have got it, but we couldn't do it, so we borrowed Phil's to shoot there. But what actually happened was, I said to Paul Vanessa, I said, well, where are you going to shoot this thing? We're going to find a model stage. So he said, how about your village hall? My village hall is in my village. Well, it's called a village hall. It's 200 yards away. That's where I run my small space exhibitions, which various people may have come along to. Certainly has. And what you need is 4 walls and a floor, and hopefully a ceiling as well. It stops the rain coming in. And so, well, that's fine. I mean, I'm a trustee there. I can get you a good deal. It's got a kitchen. It's got loos. It's got parking. That's the main
If anybody's in the area,
outside the ULEZ and everything, it's got parking. Everything, I'll just park there. So we went there, and we filmed it, and I literally brought the models across. Mike Tucker was there. So that blue screens and things. The good thing about using, we didn't use very much space, but the good thing, if you've ever seen a film, everybody arrives with something in a bag. It's a tripod, it's in a bag. It's a camera, it's in a bag. Where are we going to put it? I'll put it in the corner over there. So you end up with a very small shooting area, and then everything's scattered around, which you've got, oh, what a tripod, it's in a bag over there. So in that way, it worked out very, very well. So it helped me, because I could just walk there, I didn't have to park. And if anything went wrong,
At least there was no you
to my
there.
work, but back to my place, 200 yards, 30 seconds, and we mended it in my workshop. So it works quite well, actually. Yes, I must. We might do it again. You never know.
So a vivid picture of the working premises there. and fantastic that after answering no questions, you answered all of them.
That's my technique. I'll send it to you.
I think we're going to watch Aurak. Thank you for both of you. I mean, the effects back then were great, especially bearing in mind the budgets you had, and obviously with this now opportunity to watch them, you know, in a special edition of the Blu-ray as well. Both can coexist perfectly now. A big thank you.
I'll let you in a second. It's the first time
Thank
I've
you.
seen that.
And are you happy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Looks. We could have done that then, you know. Hey.
A big thank you to Matt Irvin and Chris Thompson. Thank you.